In these life-serving podcasts, Bhashkar Perinchery answers questions from everyone seeking pragmatic and effective solutions regarding emotional and energetic challenges, holistic health, and the inner journey.
Are there any questions? Anyone who is participating from here or from elsewhere? Maybe if you move a little bit this way, then she can. This way. Yeah.
Do you have any question? Questions can be asked over Spotify or can be sent as voice message over the podcast webpage.
Or anything to say or express which is occupying them and you want to look more deeply and clear things, then this is one possibility.
Last time you spoke about Hafiz and the Sufi mystic who pushed down the
Farid.
Farid, who pushed down the person, the seeker, under the water, and he asked him, what was your thought? And he said, I just want to come out. And this is the intensity which is needed to realize. And others are saying you have no, it's anyway the question of the grace of the beyond. And more or less you cannot do anything. There are also opinions like that, which I doubt. But somehow it has to go together.
It's not contrary. It is from the dualistic way of putting it and expressing it, one can say both have relevance in their way of consideration. The first thing to understand is the seeker has to make oneself consciously available. And without availability, we are not able to receive the grace. We are not open for it. We are not able to let it, because even the slightest wall which we create through our clinging to this or that, or clinging to this identification or that, through our judgment of this kind or that, is keeping us in the game of the world, game of the duality, game of the illusion. That is why the inner work is very delicate. As the king was telling to his son, go and ask your master to teach that what cannot be taught. It has nothing to do with words and concepts and beliefs. It has to do something with more basic, more essential. And it can be put in such a way that the moment we are holding to an idea of ourself in the usual way, and we are judging on the basis of that, very often we are not aware that there are fears, dreams, expectations, calculations connected with even the slightest identity which we hold to. So this identification, which is happening unconsciously, keeps us as if behind a wall. This prevents us from seeing. It creates a cloud, it creates a fog, it creates a barrier. That is why when you are not having anything else that you are holding to, but just this one orientation, it's a way to put it that let go. Don't go on judging, don't go on calculating, don't go on comparing. Become aware of your identification, become aware of your wishes, your expectations, your dreams, your pride, your prejudices, your clinging. So, whether one likes it or not, one has to bring the attention to these things. And nobody else can do it for anybody. It's your innermost misunderstanding that one is caught in this identification and the judgments and the walls it creates around it. So one has to face these things, even though it looks not easy, even though it looks like it is too far away or it is something which one does not want to confront soon. So there are all kinds of strategies which also comes from the inner automatism to prevent this confrontation. That is why even though I tell to people who are connected, become aware of your identification and bring your alertness to look at everything what is undercurrently going on in you, apparently and undercurrently, without identifying with this nor that. But you can see already there the problem arises because one is in a subtle way going on judging. Am I good? Am I bad? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I special? Am I ordinary? Am I accepted? Am I rejected? So, these kind of things are going on undercurrently. And you have to bring attention to these things. It will become a little easier when you see that all your judgments are based on conditionings. Conditionings also about our identification with this or that, with the body, with the personality, with the whole idea of who we are, what we are. So, you have to bring this as a priority to face all these things which are working in you if you want to get clear, if you want to get free, if you want to allow the divine. Because otherwise, in so many ways, this yes, but is coming. And the second thing about what others are saying, and what I also say in different occasions like that after you are ready, then you have to wait. Because what you imagine to be readiness is not yet the complete readiness. Even the slightest impatience, slightest expectation, when is it going to happen? There's a certain idea of the I behind it. Someone is waiting for something to happen. So, when you can see all these subtlest things, then you are not expecting it to happen in any way. There is no impatience. But you are available, you are present, you are receptive. And then it can happen any moment because it is one process. It is not that I am becoming available and then there is somebody else who is deciding. It is from the dualistic way of saying, it is good to put it like that because that gives the person a little bit more support to let go also of this impatience and uncertainty or when it is going to happen. So, when you can leave it like that it is the divine grace, then you are not calculating, you are not going into your usual way to figure it out. But it is all one phenomenon, because when it is reminded in so many ways, there is no duality, Advaita, or in the Islamic prayer which comes out very clearly, there is nothing other than the one. Or when Jesus says, my Father, the Son, and my Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son, they are all one. It is indicated in different ways, but it has to be experientially allowed. And that is the whole inner work. To prepare oneself by becoming aware of all the identification, all the expectations, all the calculations, all the clinging, all the judgments. And without resignating, without becoming depressed, without getting into a careless state, being with this intensity, being with the wakefulness, this is the orientation. So it is not in any way in conflict, it is just different ways of indicating depending on the state of the seeker. For some, the first part has to be emphasized, that you have to be ready to let go. You have to be ready to not hold to anything, not hold to any form of identification. So when I'm also in some of the last session reminding everybody, be in touch with the whole inner process when you are interacting and when you are in the world. Not only with that what is coming from the other, from the outside, but also what is going on in you, without identifying with this nor that. This is helping you to prepare yourself to become available. And then it can come to that point where you are very careful, not clinging to anything in that sense, but still now the expectation is there. When is it going to happen? Like in this story of the mythological story from Narada and the two seekers. One seeker was doing very different rituals and doing all kinds of things to make oneself prepared for receiving the divine. And he was also impatient. So he was seeing Narada, and Narada is in this story the one who is moving between both these worlds, between the world of duality and to the other world, which is the divine basis. All these are very carefully to be used, these words and indications, but it's interesting, it's helpful when you are taking it in a poetical sense. So when Narada was coming that way, this person went and asked, "Can you ask about myself when you go to the other world? How long it will take for me to realize the divine?" Narada nodded and said, "Yes, I will ask." Then Narada was going further, and there was another person who is also a seeker. He was singing and dancing and praising the divine in many, many ways. All expressions of gratefulness. And Narada asked him, "Are you also interested in knowing how long it will take for you till you realize the divine?" The man just smiled and said nothing. So Narada went, and as in the story it goes, after a while he was again coming to this area, and the first seeker, who was doing all these rituals and are very seriously doing many things, ran to him. "Did you ask about myself? How long will it take?" Narada said, "Yes, I have been asking about yourself, and it is said that you will need 3 more lives." The man was so upset. 3 more lives? And he started throwing around all his utensils and all, and getting into a kind of rage. Narada went further. And he saw this other person who was still singing and dancing and celebrating and being full of praise for the manifestation of life, singing in gratitude. So he asked, look, you didn't ask me to inquire about you, but I have still asked for you. He didn't say anything. And then Narada said, the answer is that you need so many lives like the leaves in the tree under which you are dancing. The man said, only so many lives? He was not calculating. He was not in any kind of judgment. He was not in any expectation. He said, only so many lives, and he continued his prayer, continued his celebration. And in the story, it goes like this. In this moment where this man was in such state of celebration, such state of abandonment, in deep receptivity, it happened just in that very moment. So this story is very, very beautiful because it is not so logical. It is not just about calculations and managing and somebody manipulating from somewhere. No, it is a glimpse into a way life is shared poetically. So, from yourself, bring the attention, bring the awareness as wakefully, as deeply. And the way it is possible by not identifying, not taking sides, not clinging, and in such a way being in a deeper receptive state. Wait gracefully, wait joyously, wait celebrating life. Because there is one thing which I want to mention. When you are waiting in a receptive way, before the realization can happen, something more deep also happens in a different level. You start seeing, when you are not having any expectation anywhere, when you are not clinging to anything, you start realizing how wondrous life is. How in every little detail there is so much grace, so much intelligence, so much care, so much beauty. And because you are not comparing and competing with anybody, you start seeing everybody else more deeply. And then you also start seeing that behind the apparent manifestation, everybody is innocent. Everybody is unique. When you are having some longing, some expectation, some identification, some expectation which you are wanting to manage or to get, you are clouded, you are projecting through that. But when you are holding to nothing, then you start seeing in a direct way. Then you start experiencing that within and without there is beauty. There is wonder. There is one book attributed to Sri Adi Shankara, who is one whose name is associated with the starting of the Advaita movement. His name of the book is Saundarya Lahari, which literally means intoxicated in the beauty. And this is a quality. What happens when you are not trying to get anything, to calculate, to judge, and you are simply open to see. And in this seeing you start experiencing the wonder. You start allowing the love. Because otherwise, we are always in a kind of so-called lovingness with some expectations. You give something and you are expecting now the other is responding to your love, responding to the attention you are giving to the other. And you always want to get, there's a kind of business-like process. That's part of the ego. But when this egocentric process is consciously put aside, you are just looking. So you have heard this word, seers, in German, seher. It's an expression because people have started seeing the reality the way it is. There's a very beautiful indication from Jesus where he says, those who have ears, let them hear. Those who have eyes, let them see. He was not speaking to people who are deaf or blind. He was speaking to everybody like you and me. But he was referring to this inner quality. When you listen without getting caught up in the judgment, you're considering it in a different way. When you look without comparison and competition, when you are not in any identification, when you are not in any expectation, then you start seeing everything differently. You start seeing the way it is. It's a direct perception of the reality. And that is where you realize what a blessedness this life is. What a wonder, what a beauty. And how blessed you are to be able to experience it all. To be able to be in this human form, to be able to come in touch with the teachings, to be able to have the capacity and the persistence to continue on the path. Then you see that nothing can be taken for granted. So there is a deep joy and gratitude. And these are all aspects on the way. So just continue from your side to consciously be available and let it happen.
A lot more questions to be answered.
Right after this.
You are listening to the Life Surfing Podcast on Spotify.
Did you already know that besides the life surfing seminars, workshops, and talks, you can also book individual sessions with Bhashkar directly in person or over Zoom?
For that, please contact Noria under the email address or over the phone 0497617 09665. In case you want to write an email, you find the email address in the podcast description.
Welcome back to the Life Surfing Podcast. We continue with some more questions.
Any other question or anything else to say or express in anyone who's participating from here or participating from elsewhere? When nothing else is there, we sit the next half hour being wakeful and present to all what is. When you are not provoked or confronted with anything in the immediate surroundings, you are with closed eyes. So whatever is coming in your mind, you can watch more wakefully, more easily. So learn to watch everything without identifying with anything. Watch not only that what is apparent and obvious, but that what is undercurrently there. Any of the moods, any of the attitudes, any of the beliefs which are working in you, any identification which is keeping you in some way incapable to be open. Everything what is taking place, notice and don't try to change it. Let it come into visibility, let it also pass by. With this orientation, with closed eyes, we sit the next half hour.
The Life Surfing Podcast will be back next week. In the meantime, make sure that you're following us right here on Spotify.